Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. Life is hard. If anybody ever told you that happiness comes from a perfect life, they lied to you. Ain't nobody in here got a perfect life. Everybody in this room has lost something, been disappointed by someone, prayed for something that didn't happen, and smiled while their heart was tired. So if you're waiting on life to get easy before you decide to be happy, you're going to be waiting forever. Happiness is not about what happens to you. Happiness is about what you decide while life is happening to you. You wake up every single day and you make a choice. You can either let your problems control your spirit, or you can protect your joy and say, today I'm still going to be thankful. That don't mean you don't hurt. It just means hurt doesn't get the final word. See, a lot of people think happiness means laughing all the time. No, happiness means peace. It means even when things are heavy, your heart ain't broken. It means even when the storm is loud, your faith is louder. You don't need everything to go right to still believe that God is working it out. Sometimes happiness is just knowing, this ain't the end of my story. Gratitude will change your life. I don't care how bad it is, it could always be worse. When you start thanking God for what you still have instead of crying about what you lost, something shifts inside you. You're still breathing. That's a blessing. You're still standing. That's grace. You're still trying. That's strength you didn't even know you had. Gratitude turns survival into joy. Now let me talk about faith. Faith don't mean you understand everything. Faith means you trust God even when you don't. Some of your hardest days are preparing you for your strongest seasons. God will let you go through things not to break you, but to build you. And when you know that, you stop asking, why me? And start saying, what you teaching me? Let me tell you something you need to hear today. Not something that sounds good, but something that's real. Happiness is not a reward you get when life finally behaves. Happiness is a decision you make every single morning when you open your eyes. Too many people are waiting on conditions to change before they give themselves permission to smile. They say, I'll be happy when I get the money, when I get the job, when the relationship works out, when the pain goes away. But life don't work like that. If happiness depends on life being perfect, you'll never touch it. See, life is always going to bring something. There will always be a bill, a setback, a disappointment, a delay, or a loss. The problem is not that life is hard. The problem is thinking happiness is supposed to be easy. Happiness is not a feeling that falls on you. It's a choice you stand up and make, even when your emotions are tired. You don't wake up happy by accident. You wake up and decide how much power you're going to give your problems today. Some mornings you wake up heavy. Your mind starts reminding you of everything that's wrong before your feet even hit the floor. That's when the decision shows up. You can let your thoughts drag you back into yesterday, or you can say, no, today I'm choosing a better attitude. That don't mean you're ignoring reality. It means you're refusing to let reality crush your spirit. You can acknowledge pain without letting it control you. A lot of people think happiness is loud. They think it's excitement, celebration, and everything going your way. But real happiness is quiet strength. It's peace. It's being okay even when things aren't okay yet. It's being able to say, I don't like what's happening, but I'm not going to lose myself because of it. That's maturity. That's growth. That's power. You see, when you decide to be happy daily, you stop giving people and situations the remote control to your emotions. Everybody can't press your buttons anymore. Every bad moment doesn't ruin your whole day. You learn how to separate what happened from who you are. Something bad can happen to you without becoming you. And that understanding alone will change your life. Happiness as a daily decision means you take responsibility for your inner world. You stop blaming your joy on other people. You stop saying, if they change, I'll be happy. No, happiness starts when you change how you respond. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how long it stays in your head. Some people relive one bad moment all day long, all week long, all year long. That's not life doing that to you. That's a choice. When you decide happiness daily, you also learn to appreciate small wins. You stop waiting on big miracles to feel good. You start noticing the little things that prove you're still blessed. Waking up, breathing, another chance, another try, another lesson. Those small acknowledgments build emotional strength. They remind you that even on hard days, life is still giving you something to work with. This decision doesn't mean you don't cry. Strong people cry. It doesn't mean you don't get tired. Everybody gets tired. It means you don't quit on your joy just because the road got rough. You keep choosing light even when darkness shows up. You keep choosing hope even when results are slow. You keep choosing to believe that this day, right here, still has value. Happiness is not something you find at the end of the journey. It's something you practice while you're on the road. Every day you wake up, life asks you a question. Who's in charge today, you or your circumstances? And every day you answer that question with your attitude. Let me share something that can completely change the way you experience life, especially when it feels heavy. Gratitude is not pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Gratitude is choosing to focus on what's still right when so much feels wrong. Life has a way of knocking things out of your hands, and when that happens, most people stare at what they lost so long that they forget what they're still holding. That's how joy slips away. When life gets hard, your mind naturally runs toward the problem. It replays the pain, the mistake, the betrayal, the fear. That's normal. But what's dangerous is living there. The moment you train your mind to only look at what's missing, you start feeling empty even when you're still blessed. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It shifts your attention from what you don't have to what you do have, and that shift alone can bring peace into a chaotic heart. Some people think gratitude is for people who have everything. That's not true. Gratitude is for people who have been through something and are still standing. You don't have to be rich to be thankful. You don't have to be pain-free to be grateful. If you woke up today, that's something. If you can breathe without a machine, that's something. If you can still dream, still hope, still try again, that's something powerful. Gratitude changes how pain feels. It doesn't erase it, but it softens it. When you start thanking God in the middle of difficulty, you stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a survivor. You begin to realize, this situation didn't take everything from me. I still have strength. I still have faith. I still have a future. And that realization builds emotional strength that nothing outside of you can steal. Here's the truth: what you focus on grows. If you focus on lack, you feel poor even when you have enough. If you focus on loss, you feel broken even when you're healing. But when you focus on gratitude, your heart begins to feel full again. Not because life is perfect, but because you recognize that life is still working with you, not completely against you. Gratitude also humbles you. It reminds you that everything you have didn't come just from your own effort. It reminds you that grace carried you through moments you didn't think you would survive. And when you remember that, you stop complaining about small inconveniences. You stop letting minor frustrations ruin your entire day. You become calmer, wiser, and more patient with yourself and others. A grateful person sleeps better at night, not because they don't have worries, but because they trust that tomorrow is still possible. Gratitude builds that trust. It tells your heart, we've been through worse, and we're still here. That kind of thinking strengthens you from the inside out. It turns survival into confidence. When life is hard, gratitude becomes a weapon. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, I have nothing, you start saying, I still have enough to keep going. And that mindset doesn't just change your mood. It changes your direction. Gratitude teaches you to respect the journey. You stop rushing your life, comparing your path to others, and feeling behind. You realize that your timing is your timing. Your struggle is shaping you for something that comfort never could. And suddenly, even the hard days start to feel meaningful. When you practice gratitude daily, happiness doesn't depend on good news anymore. It comes from awareness. Awareness that even on the worst days, there is still something worth appreciating. And that awareness becomes a steady source of peace that life cannot easily take away. Let me talk to you about something that holds people together when life feels unfair and confusing. Faith. Now, I'm not talking about a faith that sounds good when everything is going right. I'm talking about the kind of faith you lean on when nothing makes sense, when your prayers feel unanswered, and when your heart is tired from hoping. That kind of faith is what gives happiness depth. Without it, happiness becomes fragile and temporary. Life will put you in situations you didn't plan for and never asked for. Doors close without explanation. People change without warning. Dreams take longer than expected. In those moments, if you don't have faith, your mind starts filling in the gaps with fear. You start assuming the worst. You start believing that this pain is permanent. Faith steps in and says, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's over. Faith gives meaning to suffering. Without meaning, pain feels pointless. But when you believe there's a purpose behind what you're going through, the weight becomes easier to carry. You stop feeling punished and start feeling prepared. You realize that some lessons only come through pressure. Some strength only shows up when life demands it from you. A lot of people lose happiness because they try to control everything. Faith teaches you how to release what you can't control. It reminds you that you're not carrying life alone. When you trust that God is guiding your steps, you don't panic as much about the future. You stop rushing the process. You learn how to wait without losing your peace. Faith doesn't mean you won't have doubts. Everybody has doubts. Faith means you don't let those doubts make decisions for you. You keep moving forward even when confidence is low. You keep believing even when results are slow. And that persistence builds inner peace. It tells your heart, I'm going to be okay, even if I don't know how yet. When life is hard, faith keeps you from becoming bitter. Without it, disappointment turns into anger, and anger turns into resentment. Faith softens your heart. It helps you forgive people who hurt you and release situations you can't change. And forgiveness is directly connected to happiness. You can't be free while you're holding on to resentment. Faith also reminds you of your worth. When things go wrong, it's easy to blame yourself and feel like a failure. Faith says, you are more than your mistakes. You are more than this moment. It lifts your identity above your circumstances. And when you know who you are, situations stop defining you. Happiness becomes possible again when faith tells you that this chapter is not the whole book. That what you're experiencing now is temporary, even if it feels long. Faith stretches your perspective. It helps you see beyond today's pain and believe in tomorrow's promise. That belief alone can bring peace into the darkest moments. Faith gives you courage to keep showing up. Even on days when you don't feel strong, faith says, try again. It reminds you that progress doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes just getting up, praying and moving forward quietly is victory, and those small victories add up to a life that feels meaningful. When you live with faith, happiness stops being dependent on outcomes. It becomes rooted in trust. Trust that even when life is hard, you're being guided, protected, and shaped into something stronger than you were before. Let me tell you something most people don't like to hear, but it's the truth. If you don't protect your joy, nobody else will. Discipline is not just about waking up early, working hard, or staying focused on your goals. Discipline is also about controlling what you allow into your mind, your heart, and your spirit. When life is hard, undisciplined, thinking will drain your happiness faster than any problem ever could. Every day, negativity is looking for a way in. Complaints, gossip, bad news, social media, other people's opinions, and even your own thoughts can slowly poison your peace. If you don't set boundaries, you'll wake up in a bad mood without even knowing why. Discipline is learning how to say, that's enough, to anything that threatens your inner peace. Some people let one bad moment ruin their entire day. One comment, one mistake, one delay, and suddenly their happiness is gone. That's not because life is cruel. It's because there's no emotional discipline. Discipline teaches you how to separate moments from meaning. A bad moment does not mean a bad life. A setback does not mean failure. When you learn that, your emotions stop swinging with every situation. Discipline also means knowing when to walk away. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your attention. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Protecting your peace sometimes means being quiet, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Silence can save your joy in ways words never will. One of the hardest disciplines is learning how to control your reactions. Life will test you. People will push buttons on purpose. Situations will feel unfair, but reacting emotionally gives control to the very thing you're trying to escape. Discipline helps you pause, breathe, and choose a response that serves your peace, not your ego. And every time you do that, you feel stronger inside. Discipline also shows up in your routines. What you feed your mind daily matters. If you start your day with negativity, your mood follows. If you end your day with stress, your sleep suffers. Creating simple habits like prayer, reflection, or quiet time builds emotional stability. These small disciplines create a foundation for happiness that doesn't collapse when life shakes. Protecting your joy means being honest with yourself. Some environments drain you. Some relationships exhaust you. Discipline is admitting that and making changes even when it's uncomfortable. Happiness doesn't always require adding something new to your life. Sometimes it requires removing what no longer serves you. Discipline teaches you that peace is more valuable than being right. You don't win every battle by fighting. Sometimes the real victory is walking away with your joy intact. When you stop needing validation from others, happiness becomes lighter and more consistent. Life will always have chaos. Discipline doesn't remove the chaos, it creates order inside of you. It helps you stay calm while everything around you is noisy. It keeps your joy from being fragile. And when your joy is protected, happiness becomes something you carry within you, not something life can take away. Let me talk to you about purpose, because when life gets hard, purpose is the reason you don't quit. A lot of people lose happiness, not because life defeated them, but because they forgot why they started. When you don't know your purpose, every obstacle feels personal, every delay feels like rejection, and every hard day feels pointless. But when you know there's a reason behind your existence, pain no longer feels meaningless. Purpose gives direction to your suffering. Without it, pain just hurts. With it, pain teaches. You start understanding that some of the toughest seasons in your life are shaping you for something bigger than what you can see right now. Purpose reminds you that you're not just going through something, you're growing through it. When you live without purpose, emotions control you. You feel motivated one day and empty the next. You chase comfort instead of fulfillment. Purpose changes that. It gives you a reason to keep moving even when motivation disappears. Because motivation is temporary, but purpose is steady. It doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you're becoming. Life will knock you down. That's guaranteed. But purpose determines whether you stay down or get back up. When you know why you're here, you don't let one failure define you. You don't let one bad season cancel your future. You understand that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of the road. Purpose also protects you from comparison. When you're clear on your assignment, you stop measuring your life against others. You stop rushing your journey. You stop feeling behind. You realize that everybody's path is different, and timing is not a competition. That clarity brings peace, and peace is a big part of happiness. A purpose-driven life doesn't mean an easy life. In fact, it often means a harder one. Purpose will demand discipline, sacrifice, and patience. But it also gives deep satisfaction. You wake up knowing that even if today is tough, it matters. That sense of meaning makes happiness possible even on difficult days. Purpose keeps you grounded when emotions fluctuate. Some days you feel strong, other days you feel tired. Purpose doesn't change. It keeps pulling you forward. It reminds you that quitting is not an option, not because you're forced to continue, but because you believe in what you're building. Many people confuse success with purpose. Success is about what you achieve. Purpose is about who you impact and who you become. When you live for purpose, happiness stops being about applause and starts being about alignment. You feel good because your actions match your values, not because others approve. Purpose also gives you resilience. When something doesn't work out, you don't fall apart. You adjust, you learn, you grow. You understand that sometimes God redirects you, not to punish you, but to place you where you're needed most. That understanding keeps your heart light, even in disappointment. When life is hard, purpose gives you a reason to wake up and try again. It whispers, you're still needed. Your story isn't finished. Your best contribution is still ahead. And when you live with that belief, happiness becomes less about comfort and more about fulfillment, which lasts much longer. Let me finish this by talking about something people underestimate, especially when life gets heavy: laughter and hope. Now listen to me carefully. Laughing does not mean you are ignoring your problems. Smiling does not mean you don't feel pain. Laughing means life didn't beat the life out of you. It means after everything you've been through, you're still standing with your spirit intact. Life has a way of trying to harden your heart. Disappointments pile up. Losses change you. People let you down. And if you're not careful, you stop smiling, stop dreaming, and stop believing that good days are still possible. That's when happiness really disappears. Not when things go wrong, but when hope leaves the room. Hope is not pretending everything is going to be perfect. Hope is believing that things can get better. Hope says, this hurts, but it won't last forever. Without hope, even good moments feel empty. With hope, even hard moments feel survivable. Hope gives you something to hold on to when answers don't come fast. Laughter is one of the strongest survival tools God gave us. You laugh not because everything is funny, but because laughter reminds you that you're still human. It releases tension. It lifts your spirit. It gives your mind a break from carrying too much weight. Sometimes laughing is the only way to breathe when life feels suffocating. Some people